Hi, this is Katrina Sargent, owner and creator of Double Doll Custom Creations. Today we're going to be doing a beginner's tutorial on CrystaLac, how to do a chunky ombre with a super easy way to achieve this cool decal look. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. I will have everything linked in the description below, including my beginner's tutorials, how to prep your tumbler properly, as well as my single color CrystaLac tutorial video. Since this is one of my beginner tutorial videos, there's going to be a lot of information thrown out to you all the way to the end. So this tumbler has been prepped and painted this baby blue color with spray paint, so you have to let it degas 48 hours before moving on to Brite tone. I am using CrystaLac's glitter glue as my glue. This is Bejeweled from Peachy Olive Glitter, and I just kind of slop on the glitter glue and then take my brush and even out any areas that have too much glue on it. I have a baby wipe that I wipe off any extras. You just want to make sure you don't have any massive pooling towards the bottom or that top lip. And then you're just going to glitter. You do need to kind of work at a faster pace because this glue does tend to dry faster, but with the base color matching the glitter, you only have to do one coat normally. When you are glittering that top edge, if you turn your tumbler at an angle and glitter it, the glitter won't fall into your tumbler but fall off. Tap off any extras, and then you're going to let this sit to dry for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then you take wax paper and you're going to roll your tumbler in the wax paper. Do not rub, but press downwards. This is called smooshing. I'm not even joking. You're trying to get the glitters to lay flat. This is going to help you from not having to do so many coats of Brite tone. Once you have first smooshed it, you're going to take E6000 Spray and you're going to spray it all over your tumbler. This is going to seal your glitter in. Once that is sprayed, you're going to let it sit off to the side for about 20 to 40 minutes. Sometimes I completely forget and it sits longer. Once that E6000 is dry though, you're going to then take some wax paper. I use the same sheet over and over again for this same tumbler, and you're going to then smush or lay flat that glitter again. I do this at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times, because the more you do this step, the less Brite tone you're going to use in the future. This is just getting everything to lay as flat as possible and to get it sealed. Once you're completely happy with it, you're going to add it to your turner, and I am using Brite Tone Glossy. I have added it into my squirt bottle. I use gloves. You don't have to, but I prefer that method. So this first layer is going to be heaviest of all. However, when you're adding your chunky glitter, you don't want it as thick that it's going to move on you. So I don't do a very thick coat around the bottom. And then I just take my chunky glitter as the Brite tone is still wet. I'm going to just sprinkle on the chunky glitter of my choice. This one I'm actually going to be doing 2 different types. I have this silver, beautiful, chunky mix. And then these little white snowflakes are so cute. And I'm just adding them onto that wet Brite tone. You do kind of have to work faster because Brite tone does dry a little fast, but once you are happy with where your chunky glitter is, let it turn, and then you're going to just apply Brite tone or extreme protection, whichever you choose, on top of that chunky glitter after that first coat has turned for about 4 hours. When I'm going over my chunky glitter, I kind of tap on it just to make sure it's not going to move or get on my glove. Check it before you move up to your other glitter so you don't have glitter transferring from the bottom to the top. And then you're just going to apply your Brite tone on the entire tumbler and let it turn for 4 hours. Repeat this process for about 5 to 7 coats before you sand over glitter. Once you've done this, then you can sand your glitter. I use sanding blocks in extra fine. If you do this step too early, you can remove some of your glitter color if you have any glitter that's not protected by the Brite tone. I am still fairly gentle on this step. You don't have extreme amount of coats on this to protect your glitter. If you find you have sanded off some color off your glitter, take a craft knife and cut away that glitter piece or that edge. Don't keep sanding because you're just going to keep removing the glitter color. At this point, I then do the top rim. You have to have a stainless steel edge on the top of your tumbler so your Brite tone will seal to the tumbler itself and not to the top where the lid goes. That's how you can get a broken seal or get water between your Brite tone and your tumbler. I also do my bottoms. I don't put chunky glitter on my very bottoms. This just helps it to sit level. I forgot to take my finger and remove it as I was working, so I'm just cutting away that chunky glitter off of that edge. So moving on to the decal. I got this decal off of designbundles.com. This is how it will come in, but I didn't want to use all of it. So I just selected what I wanted to and I grouped it together. I'm going to put this in another page for you to see. You're going to then resize it to the size that you need. I did do this slightly bigger than I normally do for a wine glass, but I thought it looked beautiful still. Once you have it on the size you want, I am then going to add an offset. So I select the offset button and I'm going to do an outside offset. You can adjust your percentages. I normally do 0.025, and if you hit enter, it will show you what it will look like before you apply it. You can then change it to a squared off or a curved, whichever one you like the look better. And then once you're happy with it, you're going to hit apply. If you hit Control and E, it will group all of your offsets that are not touching together. Now you're going to have a full offset for the entire decal. However, I don't want to have any of those small cuts from the snowflake, so I'm going to release compound path. Now I'm going to just be selecting the outside of all of the big snow, make a compound path, and then I'm going to select the entire top section, make compound path for all of that. So it's just going to be releasing the S and then the snowflake cut. This helps so when you cut your white vinyl out, it's going to be white still on that snowflake part. I'm going to change the color to white so you see what I'm meaning, because I'm going to be cutting it out in a white vinyl. This is just so you get an idea of what it's going to look like on your tumbler. Now, since we have the back vinyl white layer done, we are going to move on to the top layer, which is going to be a water slide. This is where you're going to have a little fun and change your fill gradient to whatever color you would like. I change my outline to usually match a color, but here you can choose whatever color you would like and then print it off, and it's going to give you this amazing look off of a water slide and one layer of vinyl. So you don't have to do multiple layers of vinyl and multiple coats of Brite tone. You're only covering up one layer. You can take off the outline, make it clear so you get an idea what it will look like with no outline. I'm printing it off with an outline that matches the gradient I want, so you get the full letter of it once it's printed. You can do a pattern fill. It's up to you what look you are wanting. And then once I'm happy with it, I then layer on top of the white vinyl layer and center it together just to make sure I love it still before I print anything out or cut anything out. Now I love it. So I am going to print out the water slide part on water slide paper. I always change my settings to glossy paper and photo quality. This just gives you the best water slide images I have found. And then print it. Obviously, don't print just this one on a huge piece of paper. Fill it up with other things. So now we're going to cut out the white layer. I have outlined it in black just so it's easier to see. Change your cut settings to vinyl glossy or whatever your cut settings are for vinyl. And then you're going to cut that out. My vinyl is not weeded. I have my tumbler. I have a container of water for my water slide. I'm going to be doing a reverse weed. So I add my contact paper, which is what I use for my transfer paper, onto the vinyl, and then I weed it off the transfer paper so it helps with the small little cuts. You don't have to do this. You can weed your vinyl any which way you would like. I just found that it helps with smaller cuts. Once I have it on here, you're going to remove any of the extra little loops or little cuts of vinyl. You can also add that to your tumbler and then remove it off your tumbler once you apply it. You're going to see me do both ways. I apply my vinyl with using the hinge method. So what that means is I have a little overhang that is hanging over that bottom transfer sheet, so I can apply it to my tumbler and make sure it is straight before I commit to putting my decal down. This just helps you from not having to remove anything if it's not straight. So then once you're happy with it, you're going to then attach that overhang to your tumbler, remove that backing sheet, and then fold it back over your tumbler. Make sure it is attached to your tumbler and then remove your transfer sheet as you roll it off, so it helps to not create bubbles in your vinyl. So I cut out my water slide. I am then going to cut it into multiple pieces. This just helps because it is such a big decal. The top section I'm going to leave together. If you're finding a hard time laying this large of a piece, you can cut it out individual, but I am going to cut the snow into 2 pieces. You're going to then add it to the water. Let your water slide release from the backing. Once it releases from the backing, you're then going to add it on top of that white layer. Easy to line up with that white layer there. I use these cotton gloves to remove any water or air that could be trapped behind the water slide paper in the tumbler. You gotta be kind of gentle with water slides. They're very delicate paper. If you are too rough with it, you can rip them, you can remove ink off of them. I use laser water slide paper, but if you have an inkjet printer, you will have to seal your water slides before you add them to the water. If you go on YouTube and search sealing water slide paper, there are so many videos on how to properly do that. Since I am using CrystaLac products, you have to remove any extra water droplets that could be anywhere else on the tumbler before you walk away from this. So I just take my hand and wipe the entire tumbler off with that gloved hand or a rag. Let my water slide dry fully before moving on. And then once it is dry, I do seal it with quick coat. You don't necessarily have to do this. I have a laser printer, so sometimes my water slides kind of expel even Brite tone for a short time. This is just a sealant, but you don't have to do this. Like I said, you just might have to do an extra coat of Brite tone. And then once it's dry, you're going to Brite tone like normal until you don't feel any ridges of that decal at all. You're going for glass smooth. I do at least 4 coats of Brite tone over any water slide, but I can go up to 7 coats. It depends on how thick your coats are. You want to keep these top coats fairly thin because if you have too thick of coats, you sometimes can get a foggy look, as well as if it's too thick as it's turning, sometimes it can kind of run and it will give you an unlevel coat. I hope everyone liked this tutorial. I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, please write them in the comments. I do write back. If you hit that bell notification, you'll be notified every time I post a new video, which is every Wednesday, except around holidays. Please like, share, subscribe. It means the world to me. And again, thank you everyone for your continued support.